For over the past 30 years, if you were looking to buy a mid-size executive luxury sports sedan that had just the right amount of sportiness and sophistication, you were looking at an Audi S6. Now, the current A6 and S6 has been around since 2018 in its 5th generation, but thankfully for 2025, Audi is finally ready to introduce an all-new version. As you can see by the looks of this car, they are going in a completely different direction, because what we're looking at here is the Audi S6 e-tron. It's basically built off of the company's latest PPE architecture, which stands for Premium Platform Electric, which means it utilizes a 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack, up to 324 miles of range, and on this S6 model here, nearly 550 horsepower. So as you can see this week, we're testing out the latest S6 e-tron Prestige, painted in Daytona gray pearl effect, and the big question I went answered, has Audi finally managed to deliver a premium, long-range, luxurious, mid-size electric sedan that can finally challenge the best from Europe and America? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the all-new styling direction that Audi is going for their latest S6, let me first go ahead and start by popping the hood and showing you guys if this car has a front trunk storage space, because previously when Audi first introduced their lineup of e-tron models, they actually didn't have a front trunk, but as you can see with the new PPE architecture, they are including a front trunk storage space, albeit a very small one. Now, as you can see underneath the hood, you're probably looking at around 1 cubic feet of storage space here, which is not a lot, but at least they are giving you some storage capacity, because if you're looking at the European rivals like the BMW i5 and the Mercedes EQE, they don't even give you a front trunk storage space. But since we're underneath here, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain specs. Now, here in America, Audi is going to offer an A6 and an S6 e-tron. They are basically the same car, just the S6 means it's the higher performance version. We'll save the A6 model for a separate review, because I'll get one at some point later on, but this model comes standard with the company's dual electric motors, one in the front, one in the rear. They draw power from a 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Around 94.4 is usable. And Audi says combined total output is 496 horsepower. That's what's available all the time. If you utilize the launch control function, you'll get a maximum of 543 horsepower. Now, Audi technically doesn't quote a combined torque figure, but if you add up the outputs of the two electric motors, you have around 631 pound-feet of torque. But Audi says you can't combine them because they technically are achieved, that power figure is achieved at different RPM levels. Now, it all goes out through a 1-speed reduction gear transmission, and of course, this has the company's electronic Quattro all-wheel drive system. It's not the same Quattro as the gas-powered S6, obviously, because there's no physical drive shaft. This has independent front and rear electric motors. Now, the company says you should be able to get to 60 in around 3.7 seconds. We'll test it out when we get it out on the road. Top speed is just shy of 150 miles an hour, and because this has a big battery pack, it is a lot heavier versus the gas-powered S6 you're probably replacing. This model, as it sits, weighs in at just over 5,200 pounds. And like I said earlier, up to 324 miles of range. This one, however, with the 21-inch wheels, drops the range to 302 miles. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about the exterior styling, which, as you can see, with the sun hitting this paint, this is a color that Audi absolutely loves to showcase in all of their press vehicles that I test. It's called Daytona gray pearl effect. You can see it's a really beautiful metallic and flecky gray that's an extra $600. It definitely looks beautiful when you have it in direct sunlight. It's probably one of my favorite hues of gray. I just think gray is still a little bit of a drab color, but at least when you have all the metallic flecks, it looks nice. My test car also has the black optics package for an extra $2,000. The car itself, from the front end, you can see it has that controversial new look from Audi's. You have their single frame grille, which is closed off, obviously, with this interesting texture in the actual grille. You have the new Audi logos here, which don't illuminate on this model. You have a camera that's integrated just below the Audi logos, and then it has that trendy divorced headlight look, which I don't like. I think that's the worst part about the new Audi design language on their EVs. You can see it has an LED daytime running light, where you can actually change out the light signature to have 8 different types of light signatures. That's included when you guys go for the Prestige package. The headlight module down here is for the low and high beams. You can see it just, to me, doesn't look like an Audi. I would have much preferred if this would have been just a single headlight piece. The black optics package, you can see, adds some black accents here below the headlights versus the metallic look. If you don't have the black accents, there's also some openings there, functional vent openings, along with more functional openings here. There's the radar sensor for the adaptive cruise control, your parking sensors, and then down here the lower fascia is also the same body colored look. But I have to say the black with the Daytona gray is definitely a nice color combination. If you guys go for a lighter color like white, it's gonna stand out more with the black front fascia. I actually really like this car in like a lighter, it's like a turquoise blue that they offer without the black optics package. That would be my personal preference. But let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of the styling of this vehicle from the front. Now moving around the side profile, you can see this is technically their first PPE platform vehicle with the low roof line, with the low floor line, I'm sorry. And that's because this is again built to be a sedan as opposed to the Q6 e-tron SUV, which is also built on this architecture. And its overall length is pretty much well proportioned. You have a 116-inch long wheelbase with a 194-inch long overall length. Compared to the gas-powered S6, this is technically an inch shorter in the overall length. The height of this vehicle is also around 58.5. It's around 77 inches wide as well. So the aerodynamics wise, Audi says this has a 0.24 coefficient of drag. That's again going to help it get the aerodynamics it needs to have the best range in the class. Now, as you can see, the wheels with the black optics package, these are the upgraded 21-inch wheels that lower the range to 302 miles. The S6 model also includes upgraded 15.7-inch rotors clamped down by a 6-piston red painted caliper. The rears are just under 14 inches with a 4-piston caliper. You have a wide 245/40 R21 Pirelli P0 summer tire at the front. The rears are even fatter at 275/35. So I love the fact that you have a staggered setup. The adaptive air suspension is standard on the S6 model, so you can raise and lower the vehicle, and it also can adjust the dampers depending on your drive mode. Again, you can really see that beautiful metallic fleck in the paint. I also love the full paint finish. The black optics package also includes black accents for the mirrors. They have integrated turn signals, 360 camera, they fold in electrically, and you also have black along the window trim. There's also a standard panoramic glass roof. This doesn't open up to vent air, but it also has an electrochromatic feature where you can actually electrically frost and defrost it and add some patterns. That's something that Porsche first introduced on their vehicles. And then you can see backing away from the car, I actually think this is probably the best angle of the S6 because remember, this vehicle, while it is a traditional looking sedan, it is also a hatchback. Technically, Audi only offers it as a sportback. Audi does offer a beautiful looking wagon in Europe. I really wish they would offer the wagon here in the US, but sadly, that vehicle is not coming as of this filming. So maybe Audi will change their mind if people ask nicely enough. Now looking at the rear, you can see it has the usual design elements, some of which are trendy. You can see it has that full LED light bar at the back. It also has the illuminated Audi logos, which the updated design. The black optics package also includes a tasteful rear lip spoiler, which is blacked out. You have the sequential LED turn signals. You can also change the OLED taillights for a different I guess, light signature at the back, just like in the front, which is interlinked. You can see there's the new S6 logo there, which is also blacked out. And then you can see the rear bumper is a little bit more aggressive. Obviously no exhaust system because this is an electric model. And then the rear glass is on the smaller side, but again, the rear from back here is definitely a very tasteful look for me. Now, one of the beauties about this being a sportback is the fact that it has a ton of cargo space. With the back seats up, Audi says you have just under 26 cubic feet of storage space, which is plentiful. You can see if you look to the side, on both sides, you have additional storage here and here. And if you look under the floor, there's a little bit of additional storage under the floor as well. That's the mobile charger when you want to charge this vehicle up at home. And if you fold down the back seats, Audi says it'll expand the cargo to just under 40 cubic feet of space. So that's pretty much rivaling a lot of really small SUVs. And this is, again, one of the reasons why Audi only offers it as a sportback. But keep in mind, the wagon version in other markets is going to offer even more space. But I like the fact that this, again, has that hatchback utility as opposed to it being just a traditional sedan. Now moving on to the interior of the all-new Audi S6 e-tron. Before we get inside, let me show you guys the current Audi key fob. You can see Audi has updated their key over the last couple of years. It's kind of an evolution of the previous generation key. I kind of think that the new key is a good size, but I also don't like how plasticky and cheaper it feels. You do have the typical buttons here for unlock, lock, power open for the trunk feature, and then a panic function on the back of the key fob. It's got the new Audi logos there, of course, and it's standard equipment on all versions of the S6. Now, as you can see, approaching the door handle, it has that flush-mounted door handle here for aerodynamics. If you touch that little area here, that will lock the doors for you with the trademark Audi chirp. The mirrors will also electrically fold in. When you want to unlock the door, just touch the inside here. There's a little touchpad there. That'll unlock the door for you with a digital latch. You can see it also has the new branding there where it shows the name and the model line right there in the at the base of the B pillar. Now, opening up the door, you can see the interior of my test car. I actually really like this color combination with the Aris red fine Napa or premium fine Napa leather interior. These are the sport bucket seats that come standard on the S6. These seats adjust in 14 different ways. You have a 2-person memory function on the driver's side, and you also have heated and ventilated seats with a massage function. So it's nice how Audi is finally offering ventilated seats and massage on other color combinations on the inside besides black. However, you can only take your pick between either a black or a red interior. I would like to see Audi expand that to offer a gray and a brown interior on the S6 at some point. You can see, looking at the door panel materials, it has some pretty nice materials, but at the same time, it could be even nicer given, the positioning of this car. This upper portion is a soft touch injection molded plastic. I don't love the piano black plastic trim here. You have some carbon fiber look weave trim here, although I don't think this is genuine. You can see there is some nice Alcantara here, and there's also Alcantara here where you rest your elbows. Window controls have that satisfying clicky feel that Audis are known for. There's an aluminum accented door handle here, and then you can see your mirror controls and your seat memory controls are located here via this touch sensitive panel that's also glossy black. The Bang & Olufsen stereo is banging. It sounds good and it's standard on the Prestige trim. There's also hard touch plastic here with kind of these little holes in the actual texture of the door panel materials. And overall, the inside definitely makes a nice first impression, especially if you guys haven't seen Audi's newest infotainment displays and the way the dash looks. Now, stepping inside, it has that low sedan step-in height. And then as I shut the door has a really solid sounding thunk. And because this is the Prestige model, it also includes a soft close feature, so you don't even have to slam the door. And then once you're inside, the car basically recognizes that I have the key fob in me, so it turns itself on. I don't even need to push the start stop button. It automatically will do so once you're sitting your butt in the car. Now, looking at this interior, you can see, if you guys have remembered my review on the Q6, on the SQ6, the new A5, for example, this has basically the same design for the dash. Audi is basically applying this digital stage infotainment system to all of their newer models, along with this nicer steering wheel. As you can see, it has a flat bottom and a flat top design with the new Audi logo. Some people have expressed that this looks cheap. I understand why you might feel that way, because the old one had these big chrome rings. This definitely looks like it's been just kind of plastered on there like a sticker, but it's not. It has kind of like a metallic feel to it. I think you just have to get used to it. I've gotten used to it. I think it looks fine. You have paddles to control the regen braking. You have a tilt telescoping steering wheel, which is also power. It offers a really good amount of adjustability for range. You have these touch sensitive buttons here, which I don't like. I find these to be a little finicky at times, and they also attract fingerprints like crazy. You have a heated steering wheel as well. And then, of course, this Prestige model includes their augmented reality heads-up display, which the heads-up display also has a demo function, which looks pretty cool if you want to try that out. You can see the digital stage infotainment system here basically has an 11-inch or 11.9-inch virtual cockpit display for the instrument panel, a 14.5-inch center display here for the touchscreen, and then when you go for the Prestige, you also get the 10.9-inch passenger display, where you can basically pull up a web browser, you can pull up YouTube, you can also play video games. This system, I find it to be much more usable than other competing systems, especially if you guys are looking at Stellantis, for example. This is again included if you guys go for the Prestige package. This includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and you can see the GPS is also beautiful looking. You can no longer put GPS in here, however, and that's because Audi basically simplified this layout here to go with the EV models. Now you can put GPS there, so that's kind of what, I guess, their excuse for not allowing you to do so anymore. The infotainment system here, you can see there's all your usual icons. You can also play video games and pull up YouTube here if you'd prefer, along with your web browser. You can also change that background if you'd like as well. That's the custom background that they actually set this car, because this is an Audi press car. But it definitely looks pretty nice. It's quick and snappy and responsive, and I'm really liking the way this system functions. And there's also some neat touches in here. For example, if I signal right or left, you can see that's the interactive light bar that they basically borrowed from Volkswagen. It's a little bit more sophisticated in the Audi. It has beautiful interior ambient lighting as well. And then it also has traditional vents with a little toggle here where you can manipulate where you want the airflow to go. Big wireless phone charging pad here with additional storage, 2 USB-Cs, and you also have a 12-volt power outlet. And then you can see, I don't love the piano black trim here, lots of it, but at least Audi still gives you a volume knob. Your drive mode selector is here. You can basically choose between 4 different modes: individual, dynamic, comfort, and efficiency. You can also custom tailor the individual to how you'd exactly like it to be, which is a nice touch, obviously. And then you can see This right here is your drive modes or your shifter to control the 1-speed transmission. If I push it all the way up to go into reverse, there's your full 360 camera with trajectory, distance markers, parking sensors. It also has a camera washer. You can also kind of do a different views around the vehicle as well with a perimeter scan. So this is all very sophisticated stuff, although I will say the graphics and resolution of this could be better. I like how big the screen is. It takes up the entire display, which is nice, but it just looks a little grainy to me. So I'm a little surprised that it's not a little bit better in that regard. Again, you can also do a top-down view there, so that's pretty nice. Push the P button there to go into park. There's also an electronic parking brake along with a brake hold function that you can turn on and off in the actual screen here. The cup holders are decent size. Again, I don't like the piano black because this is going to show scratches and fingerprints. There is some nice Alcantara suede here. Same thing over here. If you open this up, you can see center console box is actually pretty big. It goes kind of into this front area. It actually goes all the way in there. It swallows up my entire hand, so that's nice for additional storage. The seats, like I mentioned earlier, comfortable and supportive. They also are massaging. The massage function you can access basically by going into the screen here and going into the seat comfort, for example, or you can also just push a button here on the steering, on the seat, and then that'll activate the 3 types of massage with 3 different types of intensities. It is definitely nice how Audi is finally including that feature. Now the glove box you can see is damped and lined with felt. It's huge. It fits all of my camera equipment in there, which is nice. Material quality on the dash is, you can see, soft touch injection molded plastic with a faux stitch, more of that carbon fiber weave. You have real Alcantara here with real stitching, and then down here it's all hard touch plastic. Thankfully, at least, there isn't a squeak and rattle in this interior, and the build quality seems nice. It just also just doesn't have that nice aesthetic to me. I just don't like how the screen is so overwhelming, but once you kind of get past that, the layout is great for, I guess, scanning around to see, you know, what kind of information you need. But it does take away from some of that traditional luxury feel that Audis are known for. You can see the auto-dimming rearview mirror is frameless, no digital camera mirror, and that's the view out of the back. It's atrocious, so keep that in mind. You can see there's a woven material for the headliner, and then you also have this digital curtain for the full glass roof, where you can actually change the little segments here to kind of frost and defrost. You can also completely frost it out. There is no retractable shade, or you can also kind of just do an open feature here where you can actually just kind of slowly frost it if you'd like, which is definitely a nice touch. You can also do it over just the front seat if you want, if the rear passengers want sun but you don't want sun. So that's a really cool feature. I would rather just have this open up to vent air personally, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. The audio system I mentioned earlier sounds really good, but no pop-up speakers like what you get in the S6 gas-powered model, which is why that version has like an extra $5 grand for the audio system. But overall, it still sounds decent. And this interior, while it doesn't have the traditional luxury feel, it definitely ups the ante in terms of technology, and it also has one of the best infotainment systems you're going to find in terms of software. But let's go ahead and hop into the backseat area, because this is still a mid-size family sedan, and this is where Audi says you get around 35 inches of legroom back here. Now 35 inches is not a lot. I was expecting this car to have closer to 40 inches of legroom, so that's a little disappointing. You can see the seats, they don't recline, but you can fold them down to create almost a flat load floor to expand the cargo capacity, which is definitely a nice touch. That beautiful red, RS red, fine Napa leather carries over back here, and you still have slightly padded material here, Alcantara here and here, aluminum accented door handle, hard touch plastic, unfortunately, down here, so there's a little bit of a downgrade. But stepping inside, you can see the roof, because it's tall on this model, I didn't have to duck my head too much as I shut the door. You can see the space back here is okay. This is where I'd have the seat to drive from my driving position. The floor isn't completely flat back here, so for a car that's built on the PPE architecture, that's a little disappointing. Every time you get out of the car, it shuts itself off, which is kind of annoying. So turn that back on to get the climate control functioning again. You can see you do have rear seat air vents over here and on the B-pillar, which is nice. You have 2 storage pockets here, and you also have your own tri-zone climate control function along with 3-level heated seats. No cooled seats back here, which would have been nice. You do have 2 USB-Cs buried down there, which is a little hard to find. The seats, they are pretty comfortable and supportive though, and you also have an armrest here that folds down. Gives you 2 cup holders built in. The headrest is adjustable, and then in terms of the headroom space, you can see I have maybe a solid 2 inches of clearance, so not bad, but not super great. But overall, you can get back here and cross your legs and get comfortable. Just keep in mind, some competitors, like the BMW i4, for example, or the EQE, do offer a little bit more backseat space. So the midsize Audi A6 has long been one of my favorite in terms of executive family sedans that just happen to be sportier, but also still comfortable. However, this model that we're driving, the S6 e-tron, is technically a completely different animal versus the current gas-powered S6, because you guys know this is built on their new PPE architecture, Premium Platform Electric. It's also the first Audi that's on this architecture that has the low floor. So it's built to be a sedan. It has a slippery 0.24 coefficient of drag. In this model, Porsche technically doesn't have a version of this, although the Macan EV shares this architecture. The model that we're driving is the S6 e-tron, which means we have the upgraded dual electric motor system. So we have a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack, around 94.4 is usable, up to 543 horsepower when you guys have it in launch mode. 496 is pretty much available all the time. We are starting off this review at 98% state of charge. The trip computer is showing 309 miles of range, although you can alter that by switching the drive mode. I have it in dynamic right now because I want to show off the 0 to 60 time. Now, Audi claims this model is good for a 3.7 second blast to 60, which is probably on the conservative side. So let's go ahead and see what we can get in the real world. Now, when you're ready to launch this car, Audi makes it pretty simple. You just put in dynamic, put the stability control into its sports setting, and then after that, you basically just brake torque it, and it'll give you maximum thrust. Launch control activated. Oh, holy smokes! 3.54 seconds there, and that's with it more going slightly uphill. Holy cow, this is... I expected it to be conservative, and the time was conservative from Audi, and I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if we go onto our the straighter stretch or the level stretch of road up ahead, and it'll be a little bit faster than that. But that is potent acceleration. That's where you get the maximum of 543 horsepower, and that makes this car among the quicker, accelerating electric Audis that I've tested. Especially if you guys don't go for the crazy expensive and crazy fast e-tron GT RS. Keep in mind, if you guys don't need the extra performance of the S6, the A6 Quattro e-tron offers around 74 less horsepower than this car. But the beauty about it being electric, of course, is this vehicle has instantaneous thrust. I also like the sound it makes. It's a synthesized sound that kind of amplifies the natural noise that electric motors make. And then the S6 model comes standard with their adaptive air suspension. And this car, weighs a lot. It weighs around 5,200 pounds, but at the same time, the battery pack is nice and low. It feels very planted. It feels very stable. The steering in this car has that typical Audi numbness. This model is also lacking their rear wheel steering system, which probably would sharpen up the handling a little bit, but this is definitely still not bad. This is probably my favorite driving Audi on the PPE architecture. I just recently had the Macan EV, and while I liked the Macan EV, it also didn't quite have the performance that I would have liked it to have, considering it was the base version. But put your foot down. This thing accelerates hard. It is definitely a fast car. So I'll be curious to see what I can get in the base A6 e-tron with the Quattro, upgrade for an extra $2,000. The other thing I love about this car is it actually has a full one-pedal drive feature. So when I basically lift off the accelerator, when you have it in its B mode here for the transmission, it will actually bring the car to a complete stop, a full stop, and it'll hold you there. So that's a feature that you can turn off if you just put it into D. You can also use the paddles here to control 2 different levels of regen braking. But I actually really like the one-pedal drive feature. It just makes driving this car even easier. And I think that, especially if you guys are constantly driving in rush hour traffic, you're going to really like it. Now, the other thing I also love about this car is the comfort aspect. I'm sitting here getting a massage. Audi finally is offering massaging seats and ventilated seats on an interior color that isn't just black. So that's something that they've kind of been guilty of in the past by limiting the interior colors to just black if you want the cooled seats. So I like how they offer that. Although I do wish that Audi would offer like a light gray interior and a brown interior with this kind of beautiful premium Napa leather. It certainly looks very nice. Visibility out of this car is also decent from the front and the sides, although this kind of digital stage you have to get used to. I really like the way the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto looks as well. It's a nice big screen with large icons. The native system here has quick shortcut buttons. You have your climate control down here that's always visible. You have your heated and cooled seats, which are in the touch controls. And if you want, you can adjust the massaging seat here. There's 3 different types of massage. It all works nice with the 3 different intensities. And then of course you have the 10.9-inch display here, which that screen blanks out when I am driving, when the vehicle is moving. But without it, you know, when it's not moving, you can kind of go in here, you can kind of go into several different sources. You can pull up YouTube, you can play a racing game as well. And you can also pull up GPS, which the GPS function, they don't allow you to put navigation here anymore because that's because you can put it over there on the passenger side, and you can also put it here on the driver's side, or on the center screen, of course, so you can have 2 map displays. But you know, the digital stage, I have to say, when I first saw it, I didn't really like how it looked. I thought it was a little overwhelming, but I think once you get used to it, combine that, of course, with the interactive ambient light system, you've got that augmented reality heads-up display. It certainly gives you the impression that Audi, again, is focusing heavy on tech. They've always been that way. While as the previous generation Audis were starting to feel a little dated, this definitely feels a lot more modern. And I have to say, with this interior, the A6 and S6 e-tron has a much more luxurious feel with better quality materials, lots of nice suede, real leather. The seats are also comfortable and supportive. The massage works well. The view out of the back, however, I don't like. The rear visibility is compromised because of that sloping rear or roof line. It would be fixed if Audi would offer a digital camera rear mirror, but sadly they don't offer that. The other thing I'm noticing with this car is the ride quality is also very smooth. Even when you have it in dynamic setting here with the suspension in its stiffest programming, it has a really compliant ride. At the same time, the vehicle has a nice playfulness to it. You don't really feel the 5,200 pounds of weight. The body remains relatively flat. I mean, it is definitely tuned for more of the ride comfort, but at the same time, you can push it around some corners and enjoy the, you know, low center of gravity. I just wish the steering offered a little more feel, a little more heft to it. But at the same time, you really get a sense that this car just feels like that, you know, confidence-inspiring German vehicle that just goes through the corners nicely with that stable, you know, sophisticated feel. And, you know, it just makes you want to go faster in the corners. I actually would love to see Audi do an RS version of this car. I think there's room for one, although 3.5 seconds on our first one to 60 is honestly pretty crazy impressive. Although it is going to be a little bit slower versus its main rivals, like from BMW and from the Mercedes-AMG EQE, which I believe can do it in the low 3-second range. But let's try another 0 to 60 run here. This is with it more on a level surface, because I do think that this car can be a little bit faster than what I initially got. Because again, earlier we were on more of an uphill surface. But let's try another run here. We're still gonna brake torque it. Oh my God, that is so quick. 3.38 seconds there. Holy cow, 3.4 seconds. That's with it on level ground there, so that's impressive. That is 0.3 seconds faster versus what Audi claims. I'm pretty speechless there. I wasn't expecting it to be dipping into below 3.5 seconds, so that actually makes this car quicker than the last BMW i5 M60i that I tested. So I take it back earlier how I said the BMW is faster. This car should be approaching the speed of the AMG EQE that I haven't had a chance to test yet. But you know what I want to try, actually? I want to try without using the launch control and see what the 0 to 60 time is on this stretch here, because I think it's going to be a good amount slower. Oh, still feels fast. Holy cow. 3.64 seconds there. So when you use the launch control, which adds about 50 horsepower, it shaves around 0.3 seconds off the 0 to 60 time. So keep that in mind. This is definitely fast, and it also is a relatively efficient vehicle because of the aerodynamics. Let's quickly talk about the range. This car on a full charge was showing up to 344 miles. Of course, that's when you had the AC on or off. When you turned the AC on, it dropped down to 330 miles. In my real world testing, I got just shy of 300 miles, right around 290, 295 miles of range, which is actually pretty good considering this is the most, you know, inefficient model in the lineup with the bigger 21-inch wheels. The S6 also, you know, gets less efficient. You can get into like a rear drive A6 e-tron with the Ultra package, and that'll actually get up to 394 miles of range. Haven't had a chance to test that model yet, but that one I wouldn't be surprised to get very close to that actual number. So this car actually has the most range in its class, if you exclude the Tesla Model S, which is more expensive. And it also has pretty comparable acceleration to an AMG EQE, despite the fact that it's down on power by a lot. So I'm actually really impressed after spending a week with this car. If you can get past the controversial front end, the rest of the profile of this car is actually nice. It's roomy, it's spacious, it's comfortable, it's got all the latest tech, it's got good real-world range, it's one of the quickest charging EVs, so it's clear that Audi did their homework with the S6 e-tron, and especially if you guys are considering upgrading from your gas-powered S6 with the twin-turbo V6, this is definitely going to be an interesting proposition because of the fact that Audi also only charges about $3,000 more at the base end versus the gas-powered S6. So although the luxury sedan segment continues to shrink as buyers continue to gravitate more toward SUVs, it is really nice to see Audi stick with this segment because, as you guys know, the A6 and S6 e-tron are basically the brand's first mid-size executive all-electric luxury sedan that's also built on their new low-floor design for the PPE architecture. I mean, previously they had just the e-tron GT, which they still have, although that car is more like, think of it as a four-door Audi R8. This is designed to be the model that's going to appeal to more buyers because it's a lot more affordable, it's a lot more comfortable, it's a lot more spacious, it's a lot more practical, and as you guys saw, it's still bonkers fast. We got 0 to 60 in just under 3.4 seconds, which is again 0.3 seconds faster than Audi's claim. It makes this vehicle one of the quicker accelerating vehicles, and it's also quicker than its main rival, the BMW i5 M60, although I haven't had a chance to test out the AMG EQE. If you guys are comparing this car to like a Tesla Model S, the Tesla is going to be faster with more range, but it's also going to be significantly more expensive. I also love the way Audi has done the packaging for the interior. The back seat is spacious, the trunk is spacious. The interior doesn't have the best look aesthetically for me, but the digital stage cockpit infotainment system looks very sophisticated, it looks very modern, it works extremely well, the ambient lighting looks good, the ride quality is comfortable. This vehicle isn't the sportiest, but it also remains more comfortable with a sporty edge, and I think that's the kind of the sweet spot that the S6 has always delivered. Real world range also very much impressed me, just under 300 miles of real world range in, you know, the least aerodynamic form of this particular model here. I think it's plenty of power and range. It's got better range versus the Mercedes and the BMW by around 50 additional miles. So that's again where Audi is winning here. And they're also winning when you look at the pricing, because this car, you can get into a base A6 e-tron for around 65 grand. $2,000 more buys you an A6 with quattro all-wheel drive. If you want the S6 e-tron, it'll cost you at least $78,700. So it's around $11,000 more expensive versus an A6 e-tron. Is it worth it for the additional 75-ish horsepower? I'll have to wait until I get an A6 e-tron quattro for a full week to test, but what I will tell you is this car significantly undercuts the performance versions of its rivals. So if you look at an AMG EQE, that starts at around $96,000, so this car is almost 20 grand less. If you look at a BMW i5 M60, that starts at $85,000, so this car is almost $10,000 less. With the options that my test car has here, however, with the Prestige package for $6,000, the Black Optics package for $2,000, the Daytona Gray Pearl Effect color for $600, and Destination, you're looking at an as-tested price of around $88,000. So just under 90 grand is, you know, kind of expensive, but if you're comparing it to the gas-powered S6 sedan, which is currently still available, that starts at 75 grand. So it's only $3,000 more at the base end to get the electric version, which to me actually sounds like a no-brainer because it's a much newer car, much newer platform, much newer tech. It's also about a second faster than the twin-turbo V6 and the S6. Also keep in mind, if you build out an S6 similarly equipped to this model with the Bang & Olufsen audio, the gas-powered S6 is actually around $95,000. So this is actually cheaper at the top end versus the gas-powered S6 by around $7 grand, and at that point, it just becomes an easy no-brainer for me. Now, we are expecting an all-new version of the gas-powered A6 and S6 to eventually show up in America, but we don't have any confirmation on when that'll eventually show up. But if you guys basically need to get out of your lease for an A4 or an A6, and you can't wait for that new version to come out, you should definitely put this one at the very top of your list, and I love the entire package that Audi is giving you with the best range, you know, one of the best performance, and at a price that undercuts its rivals by a significant margin. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 Audi S6 e-tron. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.